Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Yeah. Did you go through the notes? Yeah. Can you list few emotional patterns? Don't look, okay? Yeah. Emotional patterns.
Anger,
Hmm.
affection,
Hmm.
fear, mm, happy, sad,
Hmm. Affection, attraction, right?
mm,
Then we have fear, curiosity, jealousy. Okay? These are the key terms. Okay? Otherwise, you will lose mark. Yeah. Then we have mood swings, emotional control. Yeah. So, what is emotional development?
emotional development is the process of learning to recognize and express one's feeling and to form secure relationship.
And also to control the emotions, that is also important. We need to control our emotion as well as to identify others emotion is also important for the good relationship or a good positive or a positive relationship. We need this behavior. Clear? Yeah. So let's move on to the new chapter. Okay, so after this chapter, chapter 6, we will revise all these 6 chapters and we will learn each chapter. Okay, by discussing questions and within the class itself, we can learn after this chapter 6 because we are in a fast mode. Okay, because the classes are very fast. Okay, so after this chapter 6, we will do a revision and okay. So let's move on to the chapter 6, influences on identity formation, cognitive changes. Okay, please write. First, you just close your textbook and write the cognitive changes on identity formation. After discussion, we will read the text. Okay, yeah. Cognitive changes on identity formation, chapter 6. Because all these things are related to our self, right? Physical changes, emotional, social. The last one, that is cognitive. Yeah, before going to the lesson, you just look this picture. Okay, I'll give few seconds.
Ma'am, the screen is not visible.
No?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I hope you will get the concept. Just have a look and try to memorize the things. You can link this butterfly with this pot, with a kite, a rainbow, link like this. Then system with a chair, house with a birthday party, a guitar, a flight, a globe. You can link this flight with a world or a globe, phone and time, hammer, a pencil, pencil and scissors. You can connect this with a thing. Yeah. butterfly, house, key, then apple, system, scissors, chairs, pencil, ice cream, rainbow, telephone, cloak, guitar, world or a globe, bulb, yeah, kite, a cake, a piece of cake, hammer. Ready? Yeah. It's a memory test.
Butterfly,
Hmm.
plane,
Hmm.
rainbow, ice cream, cake, apple, kite, bulb, printer or tea service, computer, something else, chair, pencil, clock, pot,
13. Home,
yeah,
a piece of cake,
I told cake,
hammer,
ice cream, and then I didn't.
scissors.
Pencil.
Look, the cognitive skill. This is just the cognitive skills. Learning, memorizing, how we think. Yeah, we need to recall all these things. We need to identify the particular concept. All these belong to the term cognition. Okay, our learning is a part of cognition. Now we are learning a new topic, cognitive development. Okay, so this learning is a part of cognition and also thinking. Sometimes we think to solve a particular problem, how to solve these kind of problems. So we need to think. So this thinking is also a part of cognition. I think it's clear. This is a memory test. Yeah, your score is 13. Okay, no problem. So let's discuss what is cognition. Okay, cognition, the word meaning of this cognition. Just a minute. Okay, can't find out the pen here. Yeah, I hope the screen is visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So cognition, the word meaning of cognition. Let's discuss this one. So this is a word that is from or derived from a Latin word. Okay, this is derived from a Latin word which means to know or to recognize. So the meaning of the word cognition in Latin, that is to know or to get an idea about a particular thing, to recognize a concept. That is the word meaning of cognition. Clear? Okay. So now we are discussing about cognitive development. So first, what is cognition? Then we will discuss what is this cognitive development is. Okay. So the term cognition, that is a word that comes from this Latin word. So this cognition is a Latin word which means to recognize or to know. That is the meaning of the cognition. So all the mental activities that are associated with processing. For an example, yeah, what was your class teacher's name? 10th class teacher's name.
Serena.
Yeah. While I ask this question, you need to think, you need to process. Your memory is processing and getting the answer, right? You need to collect that answer from your mind. That is a part of this processing and knowing particular things, knowing the environment or knowing the other persons, knowing the concept, then remembering. Sometimes we have this cognitive difficulties, like we forget about the birthdays or forget about someone's numbers, phone numbers and all. Yeah, this is due to this cognitive difficulties. Okay, so this remembering. Then understanding a particular concept. That is also very important. After reading a particular paragraph or after reading or after getting a sentence, we need to understand the meaning of that particular sentence, right? And also to communicate. All these are related with our mental activities, right? So all the mental activities comes under the cognition, like our processing, knowing, remembering, how to recall all the things. Okay, any issues, Sanjana? No, right? Okay, so this comes under the cognition part. Okay, so cognition, the word cognition, that comes from the Latin word which means to know or to recognize. So in this cognition, all the mental activities like our learning, our thinking, memorizing, remembering, recalling, communicating, all these are processing a particular thing, all these are our mental activities. So all these activities comes under the cognition, or the meaning of cognition is all the mental activities. Clear? Okay, so let's discuss the cognitive development. Yeah, what is this? Can you read? Yeah, just read.
Jean Piaget.
It's Piaget. Okay, Piaget. Okay, actually it's Piaget. You are right, but the pronunciation that is Piaget, which means P Shay. Okay, Piaget. Clear? Okay. So he is the scientist who put forward this development, cognitive development. Last class we learnt about how the self developed during infancy, early childhood, middle childhood and adolescence, right? Just like as this, our cognition, our cognitive skill is also developing throughout our stages. Clear? So he put forward this theory, cognitive development theory by the Jean Piaget. Okay, don't read as a Jean Piaget, it's Piaget. Okay, so he is one of the most influences researchers in the area of this developmental psychology. You will definitely learn this concept under psychology also. Okay, so this cognitive development, it's by Jean Piaget, and he is a very influential researcher at the time of 20th century. Now we are in
21st.
Yeah, so he is the most influential researchers in the area of development psychology. Then his theory explains how a child constructs a mental model of the world, which means I'll explain. Okay, this Jean Piaget, he observed his own children. Okay, he had 3 children, so he observed his own children to understand or to identify the cognitive skills, how they develop this cognition in their life. Yeah, he just he just observe his own children. Then he then he fix a final word or a final theory. Okay, so after this, he understand that this cognition or a cognitive development, that is not a fixed one, which means it is not something that is fixed. Yeah, by interacting with an environment or by interacting with society, this cognitive development or cognition, the cognitive skills is also developing with that person. So that is the first concept he put in this cognitive theory, which means the cognitive skills is not a fixed trait, it is also developing with that child according to their age. Clear? Okay, so he refused that this cognition is a fixed trait. Then yeah, he believes that the child's cognitive structure increases with the development. As I told you, as a child grows, this cognitive skills also starts developing. So he disagrees the intelligence, which means the cognition, which means the related with our IQ and all. Okay, so he disagrees that the intelligence was a fixed trait, which means this is not a fixed one. Then a process which occurs due to, so this is not a fixed trait or something that we get by the biological maturation, which means due to our aging and also with the interaction with the environment. Clear? So we learned about cognition and the scientist Jean Piaget. So cognition, the word just means to recognize a concept and all the mental activities that comes under the cognition part. Okay, so which means, or it comes under a Latin word, the cognition. It's derived from a Latin word. Then who developed this cognitive theory? Jean Piaget developed this theory, and after this theory or under this theory, he put forward the concept that this thing, the cognition, the cognitive skill or the intelligence of a child is not a fixed one. It's not a fixed character or a fixed trait. It's something that a child gain throughout this age or with this biological maturation or the physical maturation. Biological maturation means a physical maturation, and also with how this child interact with the environment. My environment is different, right? And your environment is also different. So in children's case also their environment is different. So due to this biological maturation and also to the difference in this environment, it leads to the difference in the intelligence of a particular child. Clear? So intelligence is not a fixed trait. I think it's clear, right? Okay, so you just please write. Cognition means how a person thinks. Cognition means how a person thinks. Look, the spelling of cognition, okay. How a person thinks. Okay? Clear? Next one, cognitive development. This is a definition for cognitive development. It means cognitive development. It means how children think, explore and figure out things. Okay? Cognition and cognitive development. Cognition means how a person thinks. Cognitive development means how children think, explore and figure out things. Okay? That is cognitive development. Cognitive development refers to how a person perceives, thinks and gains understanding of his or her world through the interaction of genetic and learned factors. Also add this definition. Okay? Cognitive development refers to how a person perceives, how a person thinks, how a person understands a particular concept about this world through the interaction of the environment as well as with the genetic factors. Okay, so this is not a fixed trait. That is very important. According to Jean Piaget, this cognition is not a fixed trait. Cognition skills, these cognitive skills always change with the biological maturation and also with the environment, how we interact with environment. So this cognitive development is a gradual change by which the mental process become more complex. Okay, at the end of this adolescence and all, our mental activities become more complex when we compared with the infancy or the early stages. Okay, I think you finished the definition, or you just please write. Can you read what is cognitive development from the slide? Yeah.
Cognitive development refers to how a person perceives, thinks, and gain understanding of his or her world through the interaction of genetic and learned factors.
Okay. Any doubts? Cognition, cognitive development, Jean Piaget, how he observed or how he developed this cognitive development theory by observing his own children. Okay. This area is very, very important. Okay. Under this cognitive development, we need to learn three important concepts. One is schema, next one assimilation, and the third one accommodation. Okay. Schema, assimilation and accommodation. Just write only these terms, okay, not the definition. Schema, assimilation and accommodation. So this assimilation and accommodation are the process of the way of cognitive development. I'll explain. So without the schema, assimilation and accommodation, we can't learn the cognitive development theory of the Jean Piaget. We all know that Jean Piaget developed this cognitive development. So under this cognitive theory, he put forward certain concept. Okay. So we need to understand all these concepts. First one, schema. Then we have assimilation and accommodation. Okay. First we will discuss the schema one. Schema. Okay. Schema, which means, for an example, my schema for Christmas. That is gift, Christmas gift, Santa Claus, then winter. Okay. But just consider another person. Maybe their schema is entirely different from my schema. Okay, my schema is a gift or something winter and Santa Claus and all. In their case, their schema for Christmas is birth of Jesus Christ. Yeah, Christianity. That belongs to their schema. So what do you understand from this? It's just an internal representation of a particular thing, right? I'm representing my Christmas with my own concept or my own experiences. Yeah, internal representation. That is the schema. Can you give your schema about Onam?
Flowers,
Yeah.
celebration,
In my case, my schema is Settisari, always related with Onam, right? Uriyadi, related with
Sadhya.
Onam. Yeah, then Sadhya, related with Onam. It's different, right? Your schema is different from my schema. I think this is clear for you. What is schema, right? Right. This is the internal representation of the world. Write this definition. Schema is the internal representation of the world. Sorry, yeah. Then we have next two terms. One is assimilation, another one that is accommodation. Okay, first you just understand, in assimilation, we learned about schema, right? This topic is very important. We already learned about schema. In assimilation, double S, the schema is always remain same. There is no change in schema. Okay? We will discuss what is this assimilation and all. First, you just understand, in assimilation, the schema always remains same. Always remain same. In accommodation, the schema change or schema is altered. It's changed. Clear? So, just schema means it's an internal representation of my world or internal representation of the world. My schema, that is my representation of world. Your schema is your representation of the particular world. So, next two terms, that is assimilation and accommodation. In assimilation, the schema always remains the same. In accommodation, the schema is changed. Okay, I'll explain. I'll give an example so it will be more clear. Yeah, just look at this picture. Okay, just imagine a child or a girl with 1.5 years. Okay, she has a dog in her home. Okay, the dog always has a foreleg, right? It's a four-legged animal. Yeah, so her schema is all four-legged animals are dog. Okay, because she is only aware about this dog with these 4 legs. So her schema is that all four-legged animals are dog. Okay, so just imagine this 1.5 years girl move out for a walk or in a park and all. She just saw a cat. Okay, this cat also has 4 legs, right? What she called as a dog. Okay, look farther, there is a dog. Why? Because her schema is that all four-legged animals are dogs. Okay, but her father said that this is not a dog, it's a cat. So she understands that all four-legged animals are not dogs, there are some other animals. So she changed her schema, right? That is accommodation. Is that clear? Okay. Yeah, sure. If the schema remains the same, that is assimilation. When the schema is changed into another one, that is accommodation. So this accommodation is very important for the cognitive development, right? Because we have our own internal representation, but some point of our life we need to change that schema into another one, right? Then only we can improve the cognitive skills by changing this schema. That is accommodation. We are accommodating. Okay. Yeah, if you want, just write. In assimilation, a girl just saw this four-legged animal for the first time. Okay, so her existing schema is that all four-legged animals or four-legged pet is a dog, right? So the child will call this as a dog. That is the example for assimilation. Okay, write in a sentence, otherwise you will forget this. Yeah. So a child just saw a four-legged animal because she has a four-legged animal, a four-legged dog in her home. So if we saw just this four-legged animal for the first time, her existing schema, which means there is no change in that schema, that is all four-legged animals are a dogs, or all four-legged pet is a dog. So the child will call that dog as a dog. Okay. In the case of accommodation, existing schema, existing schema is four-legged animal is a dog. That is the existing schema of that child. In assimilation, the existing schema is not changed, it always remains the same. Look here, in accommodation, someone point out that this is a cat, but this cat also has the four legs. So the child's existing schema is altered, and then he realized that all four-legged animals are not dogs. Okay, this is an example for accommodation. Yeah, so please write the definition. Schema is an internal representation of our world. Assimilation, which means it is usually an existing schema to deal with a new object or a situation. In that child case, that cat is another dog, another colored dog is a new situation for that child. Okay, that is assimilation. Just imagine that in her home, the child has a black dog. In park, she saw a white dog, a new situation, right? Yeah. But she know all four-legged animals are dogs, so she called that dog as a dog. Okay. In accommodation, the schema is altered, which means the schema is changed. Altered means a changed schema, and a new schema may be developed. So due to this schema change, he need to or she need to adopt a new schema to her life. Then only she can succeed in life, right? Otherwise it leads to confusion. What is happening here, right? Yeah, that is accommodation. I think it's clear, right? Yeah. Just write the essential development of cognition. Essential development of cognition is the establishment of new schema. The essential development of cognition is the establishment of new schema, new schemas. Okay. Next, the essential development of cognition is the establishment of new schema. Okay. What do you mean by this? Any idea? What is the meaning of this sentence? You will definitely get. Just read. Read once again. Read it loud.
So to develop these cognitive skills, we have to establish new schema.
So what is this establishment of new schema? We learned a word, right?
Accommodation.
Very good. Okay. So this establishment of new schema is equal to accommodation. That is the meaning. Clear? Okay. Next class we will discuss the different stages of cognitive development. Okay. Just like a self, here also there are certain stages. Okay, the next class we will discuss that. Okay, so please learn what is cognition, cognitive development, schema, assimilation and accommodation. 5 concepts. Now, yeah. Only the definition. Sanjana, what is cognition?
How a person thinks.
Good. Cognitive development. No problem. What is schema? Don't look.
Internal development.
Internal. We are representing our
Represent.
experience with a concept, right? Internal representation. Assimilation.
The schema does not change.
Good. Accommodation.
Developing the schema.
New schema. Okay, very good. So learn schema and cognitive development. Let me know when you finish, okay? Yeah. Try. Schema.
Internal representation of the world.
Okay. Cognition.
How a person perceives things or
Assimilation.
and
Cognition. What is cognition?
how a person thinks.
Assimilation.
No change in schema.
No change. Good. Accommodation.
Developing a new schema.
Very good. So, what is cognitive development?
How a person perceives things and gains understanding through genetics and environment.
How a person think, explore, and figure out things. Yeah, if you want, just use this thing. Okay, think. Okay, thinking, exploring, and figure out things. Okay. If you are not able to by heart that main definition, at least write this definition. Okay, cognitive development, which means how a children think, how a children explore the environment, how the children figure out particular things. Okay, think and just exploring, figure out things. Okay, can you try? What is cognitive development?
How a person thinks, explores, and
Yeah, no problem, no problem. You are learning, right? Cognitive development is a process which how children think, how children explore and figure out things. Can you try?
how a person thinks, explores, and figure out things.
Very good, very good. So cognition, it just means how person think. Cognitive development means how a children learn to think, explore and figure out things. Then we learned about three concepts related to Piaget's cognitive theory. One is schema, assimilation and accommodation. Schema means an internal representation of a particular world, which means, my schema for college or my schema for school, that is friends. Then anniversary or some kind of festivals, Onam celebrations and all. But someone else's schema may be related with the teachers, a principal and all. Okay, it's a different one. Internal representation. Then we have assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation means the schema always remain same. There is no change in schema. Yeah, when a child interact with a new situation, the child always remain with the existing schema. In the case of accommodation, the child will change that existing schema into a new schema and the child establish a new schema throughout their life. Clear? Yeah. Take the page number 41. Okay. Process of cognition. Page number 41, process of cognition. Okay. So Piaget assumes that. So who is this Piaget? Piaget is the researcher behind this cognitive development, or he put forward the theory of this cognitive development. So Piaget assumes that for cognition, motor behavior is a basis for cognitive activity. So for this cognitive activity, cognition is the main important thing. Then there are general reflexes present in all children at the time of birth called schema. Then all infants use them to adjust and adapt to the new environment. So you can write this definition for schema. There are general reflexes present in all children at the time of birth called schema. Can you read the rest?
All infants use them to adjust and adapt to the new environment. They are the product of maturation and learning and are continuously changing and getting complex day by day. Piaget emphasizes on two main processes, assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation is the incoming information the infant receives from the environment. Accommodation is the process of incorporating incoming information into already existing schemes and changing them into new concepts in new situations.
Okay. If you are learning, try to by heart this definition of assimilation and accommodation. For your understanding, assimilation remains same, accommodation it's altered. Okay. That's it. Okay. So next class we will discuss about different stages of cognitive development by Jean Piaget. Okay. Note that scientist Jean Piaget. So the scientist behind the cognitive development theory, that is Jean Piaget. Okay. Thank you. Any doubts?
No.